One of the biggest events in all of crypto's history is going to happen very soon. We're talking about the Ethereum Merge, where the largest smart contract platform by market share is going to make a massive update that we've been waiting for years to become a proof-of-stake blockchain and take one step closer towards Ethereum's final form that it's had the vision for since day one of being a really fast, scalable, cheap-to-use worldwide computer for decentralized finance and other applications. And in this video, I'm going to break down everything that you must know about the Ethereum Merge from a developer's perspective. I'm going to explain this in complete, simple English for everyday people to understand and answer all the questions that you might be too afraid to ask. Like, what exactly is the merge? Is it going to fix Ethereum's gas fees? Is it going to make it faster? When's it going to happen? All that kind of stuff. And I'll talk about all this as a blockchain developer who works with the Ethereum protocol on a daily basis. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about the first question that you have to understand in order to demystify the Ethereum Merge. Well, the first thing is what even is it in the first place? So it is a major network upgrade where Ethereum is going to transition from proof of work to proof of stake. Okay, so let's explain what that means. So right now, if you're using Ethereum today, you're making transactions. Let's say that you're trading a token on Uniswap, you're buying an NFT, something like that. Okay, you are doing that on a proof of work blockchain. So what is that? Well, Ethereum right now works like Bitcoin in the sense that it has miners. So let's say you use your wallet, you connect to a browser, okay, and you talk to the blockchain itself in order to make transactions. Whenever you do that, you're paying a fee, okay? And what's happening to that fee? Well, in really simple terms, it's going to a miner who helps run the blockchain and also helps produce block to secure the network and actually include that transaction. And that miner is also paid in cryptocurrency that's issued by the blockchain. But the important thing to understand is the miner is a person who runs one of these computers that makes up all the nodes that talk to one another to form the blockchain. And what does that word mining mean? Well, it basically means that these miners are just competing to solve cryptographic puzzles, okay, to guess a random number in order to include that transaction into a block for the blockchain. And after the merge, Ethereum is going to switch to proof of stake. Okay, so what does that mean? So proof of work is what we saw a minute ago with miners. But with proof of stake, the miners get replaced by validators. And instead of mining cryptocurrency to include new transactions to the blockchain, they're now going to validate transactions and stake cryptocurrency in order to do that. So what does that look like? Well, it's the same flow for the end user, where basically you just use your wallet, you connect to a browser, then that browser talks to the blockchain itself, and then that's still where all the users and programs and all that stuff are stored in the blockchain. But here's where the validator comes into play, okay? So they're not mining transactions anymore. What they're doing is they're taking cryptocurrency, in this case, Ether or Ethereum, okay? And they're locking it up into their computer, one of these nodes, and they stake it. The whole point is they have to act honestly. They stake their crypto, and they earn a passive income reward for doing that. When all the nodes are in agreement with one another and you validate a block, you get a passive income reward for doing that honestly. If you try to do it in a malicious or bad way, then you get penalized and some of your cryptocurrency gets slashed. So that's how it works. And then that's what's going to make ETH become a yield-bearing asset after the merge, we'll talk about here in a second. So now comes the final part. What exactly is the merge itself? Well, like I was saying before, if you use Ethereum today, the proof of work version, you're using the original Ethereum here on the left. And we have this thing called the beacon chain where we have a really proof of stake just running kind of on the side. Okay, it's not, nobody's really using the blockchain to do transactions. It's just we have this proof of work engine over here called the beacon chain. It's been live since 2020. Okay, and the two are going to get merged together. So hence the merge. So you've got Ethereum over here, beacon chain, and we're going to basically flip the switch really soon to create this new final proof of stake version of Ethereum, which you see here. All right, so now let's talk about when the merge is going to happen. So at the time of recording this video, the current prediction is for about September 15th or September 16th, 2022. So by the time this video comes out, it's going to be in a matter of weeks, okay? So how do we achieve this number in the first place? Well, it actually does something based on the total terminal difficulty. And so this is an estimate, and I'll explain why it's an estimate and how there's some variance potentially here. So, the Ethereum network has something called mining difficulty, okay? So, we have miners now, and the difficulty is basically a number that describes how challenging it is to create new blocks based on the amount of energy required to do that, all right? And so this number is going to go up and up and up. And so essentially what we're going to do with the merge is set a threshold that says once we cross this certain difficulty level, we're going to make the switch and actually turn proof of stake on after the Bellatrix upgrade actually goes live in about a week. Okay, so basically, we kind of have to guess at when the blockchain is actually going to reach this total terminal difficulty. You see it trending higher here over time, but it'll start rising much quicker pretty soon, okay? And so essentially, we have to kind of guess when that total terminal difficulty is going to arrive. It's based upon lots of different factors like the price of ETH itself, okay, electricity costs, many other things. But the best guess right now is about September 15th or 16th. All right, so now I want to talk about one of the most common questions I get about the Ethereum merge is this going to fix Ethereum's gas fee issue? You know, one of the most common complaints I hear about Ethereum is that it's too slow, it's too expensive to use, and for this reason, we just want to go use a different blockchain that's, solved this problem already, okay? So the hard truth is that the merge is not going to fix Ethereum's gas fees, okay? And I actually see this floating around online all the time from some pretty big accounts that are like, I'm so excited about the merge because, we're finally going to fix ETH gas problems for good. Well, I'm sorry, but it's actually not going to happen. There's lots of people who are going to be disappointed by that. Now, that's the bad news, but here's the good news, okay? The long-term solution for ETH gas fees is to use something called a layer 2 scaling solution. And that's been the play for many years now as a part of the core Ethereum roadmap, okay? So you can see examples of this on a website like l2beat.com. So this is where you build a second environment. It's kind of like a separate blockchain, but not really, okay? You can do transactions in this environment and then settle those transactions back on the main Ethereum chain and actually use Ethereum, pay the gas fees or Ether to pay the gas fees, and then use the underlying blockchain itself for security and final settlement. And we don't even have to wait for the merge to happen in order to use those right now. You can get this scalability benefit today. All right, so next question is, will the merge make Ethereum faster? Okay, will it actually improve the scalability in that sense? So unfortunately, it's not going to make Ethereum faster really by any measure. So that's the bad news. But again, the good news is that layer 2 scaling solutions can achieve that right now. And there will be an update actually on the Ethereum roadmap relatively soon on the grand scheme of things that will make Ethereum, the base layer itself, faster and improve the scalability of layer 2 scaling solutions as well. So that's what's called sharding, okay, where you basically take the blockchain and you break it up into smaller blockchains that are all, kind of controlled by one another. Basically what this does is it makes smaller compartments of the blockchain responsible for smaller footprints so that like every single computer who runs a blockchain doesn't have to do everything. Okay, that's how you improve scalability of the actual base layer itself. Okay, and so whenever that happens, we'll get a speed scalability benefit on Ethereum base layer itself, and that's actually going to multiply the transactions per second that happen on those layer 2s whenever that gets settled back on the main chain. So that's not going to come with the merge, but that'll be on another update for Ethereum relatively soon in the grand scheme of things. All right, so now you might be thinking like, okay, so Ethereum is not going to get faster. It's not going to get cheaper to use. Why is everybody so excited about the merge in the first place? Well, I'll list off a few reasons right here. So number one, the move to proof of stake is a big deal, okay? Because, now ETH, the asset itself, is going to become a yield-bearing asset, okay? It means you can earn passive income reward natively with Ethereum or Ether, the cryptocurrency, all right? Moving to proof of stake is a big deal in terms of blockchains, like perception from an energy standpoint. Okay, we don't have the same problem, but Bitcoin will after we move from the merge. Another is that ETH, the asset itself, will likely become deflationary over the long term. Okay, whenever we actually move to the merge, which will also likely have a impact on the Ethereum price, assuming that the network activity continues to trend higher over time, or at least stay the same at what it is now. So now I'll talk about that. All right, so what's going to happen to the Ethereum price surrounding the merge? Okay, so we'll talk about a lot of different perspectives on this. Number one is that there's going to be lots of people who are trying to do the merge trade, where essentially they're accumulating ETH ahead of the merge in anticipation for price appreciation. Now, we've seen at the time of recording this video, a pretty significant move in the ETH price already. Some people say, hey, that's most of the move. They're going to buy the rumor, sell the news, all that type of stuff. But I'm not really here to talk about, what's going to happen in terms of like traders' mentality and what's actually going to happen the price of Ether in that respect. What I actually want to talk about are some changes that are coming up with the merge that are likely going to have a significant price impact on Ether over the long term. Because for me, cryptocurrencies, what really matters in terms of cryptocurrency price appreciation is two things, supply and demand. So I want to talk about the demand side of things that can likely increase for Ether, that could cause the price to increase over time. And that's why you'd want to use ETH, hold ETH in the first place. So, one of the reasons I'm so bullish on I am so bullish on Ether over the long term. Of course, not financial advice, not telling you to buy any. but is that, you can do so much with it compared to an asset like Bitcoin, okay? Like, you don't just hold it in your wallet. You can use it to pay for gas fees. You can buy NFTs. You can use it in DeFi. And now you're going to be able to stake it, okay? And that's going to have a pretty significant draw to big players in the space because, of course, you can stake other cryptocurrencies, right? You can put them in a smart contract and earn yield, but a lot of times that yield dries up. And, of course, you can also stake natively on other blockchains. But there's something really significant about ETH being a leader in this space and having significant amount of decentralization and security. It's sort of like the Fort Knox level security for blockchain. And so for that reason, Ether, the asset itself, is very blue chip. And when you can hold something like that, it has a lot of promise over the long term, and then also earn yield on top of it, that's major and is going to attract lots of other people, especially big players in the space, to hold Ether and stake it and run clients, run validators. Because right now, you can get about 4.1% APR holding ETH, but after the merge goes live, you're probably going to be able to get a lot more than that because it's not just about the amount of cryptocurrency that's issued by the blockchain itself. That's the base APR here. You're going to get bonus APR based upon the transaction fees that are going to the validators running the blockchain. And then with MEV boost and all this other stuff, right? Like, you could potentially double this, maybe even triple that reward at times of peak network activity. And so that's going to attract a lot more people, which is a reason why more people want to hold ETH and put that buy pressure on it and not sell it, okay? So that's massive for the demand. Now, let's talk about the supply, because one of the biggest things people are excited about is, ETH becoming deflationary over time, all right? So you can see that on a website like Ultrasound Money. So like right now, Ethereum issues, right now the supply growth for Ethereum is about 4% annually, okay? You can see it round this up to about 4%. And right now in the past hour, if the merge were to happen, ETH would be minus 0.3% deflationary. So how does that work? So let's look at this chart right here. So right here you have the blockchain, okay? And here is a validator that's running one of the nodes, all right, after the merge. So you can see that person takes their cryptocurrency, lock it up, and then they earn a passive income reward for doing that whenever they stake it, okay? And include new transactions into blocks. So right now, on an annual basis, we have a fixed amount of Ether that's getting issued every single year. It's a fixed number, okay? And right now, that fixed number is about 4% of the entire Ethereum or Ether supply, okay? And then post-merge, we're going to undergo what's called the triple halving, okay, where that number is going to get cut in half 3 times. So essentially, we're going to go from 4% down to 2%, all right? That's one halving. 2% down to 1%, that's 2 halvings. 1% down to 0.5%, that's 3 halvings, okay? And so you might say, okay, well, that's still like positive issuance. Like, we're still issuing 0.5% ETH supply per year. But we implemented a network upgrade last year called EIP 1559, where you actually burn Ether whenever new transactions are created. And when there's enough network activity, the amount of ETH that's burned actually exceeds the amount of new ETH that's created by the blockchain itself. So it's basically, we're burning more than 0.5% of the ETH supply on an annual basis, okay? And because this is a fixed number, okay, that's going to get easier and easier to do, especially if the network activity stays the same at least or increases over time, which I expect it to do. So like right now, you can go on this website, Ultrasound Money, kind of play around with the sliders and see, what would happen with the ETH supply right now based on 1 hour of activity, be minus 0.3% per year. And so that's one of the biggest impacts of the supply side of ETH. Okay, so bringing this back to like what's going to happen with the price. So here's my thesis. Okay, again, this is not financial advice. I'm just thinking about this from a critical perspective because it's really just math. Okay, so if we are creating less ETH every single year, and the demand for the Ethereum network to make transactions stays at least the same as it is now, all right? And we have at least the same amount of people in terms of buying pressure continuing to accumulate Ether, the asset itself, then over time, like, the price of Ether is going to go up, okay? So that's my base case, that the merge actually is going to have a technical impact on the price of ETH from a supply side of things that would cause a long-term price appreciation. And then if you combine that with all the extra things you can do with Ethereum and all the places that we're going in the future in terms of innovation, there's lots of reasons to think why that demand is going to increase, especially when you're talking about ETH becoming, more of an institutional grade asset that you could stake natively on the network itself to earn yield. That's another huge reason why people would pile into ETH as a staking asset. And so, my opinion, long term, I think the merge is going to have a positive price impact on Ether, regardless of what happens on a short-term time frame from traders trying to, time the move with the merge. All right, so now let's talk about, are you going to get free coins with the Ethereum merge? Okay, so, really, this is a fork, and we've seen other forks happen in the past with blockchain where, famous forks where essentially, you had coins on one chain, and whenever the chain forked, now you just got free coins on the new chain, and you also had them on the old chain. So is that going to happen with Ethereum whenever the merge happens? So for a long time, I was saying like, hey, I didn't really think you'd get free coins with the merge because it didn't seem likely that you'd see a viable remnant for Ethereum to actually stay behind and continue to operate. But it looks like that we might be able to do that. Okay. But I'll explain that with some caveats, all right, with that those coins may not actually be worth anything. So let's just kind of dig into this. So we're actually seeing, a larger movement from Ethereum miners wanting to maintain an old version of Ethereum like the one we use now after the merge happens, okay? And to actually keep proof of work turned on so they can continue to mine the chain. And then also do things like remove the fee burning and like make it sort of this custom chain, because anybody can take the Ethereum software and run their own copy of it right now, but it gets its value from its network effect. So you'd have to convince a lot of different people to actually, run the blockchain and make it valuable. You got another big problem of all the applications on top of Ethereum. Like, are they actually going to work the same way on the new network, especially if they're like powered by oracles and things like that? Or if you have massive stablecoin issuers, are those stable coins actually going to honor redemptions on a new ETH fork? Like, some of them have already come out and said, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. Okay. So, basically you might get some free coins on a new Ethereum chain. The question is, will they be worth anything? And if they're worth anything, can you actually exchange them for US dollar or something equivalent if that's what your goal is, to like try to cash out and, make a profit off this? Well, that's going to be increasingly hard to do for a few reasons. Number one, if you're using a DeFi application to swap for stable coins, again, you may not be able to actually get to a stable coin, okay, if they're not honored on that chain. But if you're going to try to swap it on a centralized cryptocurrency exchange, like, they may not list it, okay? And the incentive is going to be for smaller exchanges most likely to support this ETH fork first to sort of get some of the cut of those trading fees. And you may not be KYC on the exchange, or you may not be registered. And, you may not be able to actually get in on that, before the price would dump. Because I imagine a lot of people just want to dump their crypto as fast as possible, make a quick profit, because they don't necessarily believe in the project long term. Now, they might, right? But that's probably the overwhelming mentality of most people. And then also, what gives Ether the asset sales value is the value of the network. So the only reason that people are going to really hold this asset for the long term is if they see long-term viability. And in my opinion, like, I see less and less of the value proposition of a fork that stays behind. If really the impetus is just to have a chain that people can continue to mine and then like trade the coin on it, right? That's probably not as viable as the future of the Ethereum that we have right now. So to summarize, basically, you might actually get free coins, but they may not be worth anything. And if they are, it may only be for a short while. And even if they are, it might be hard to cash out of those. And lastly, if you hold your ETH on an exchange right now, like, you're not going to be able to get those coins for free on the new chain because you don't actually hold those coins. It's just an IOU on an exchange. All right, so the last question I want to answer is, how do you actually stake Ether or Ethereum cryptocurrency after the merge happens? Okay, I'll go through the proper way, or the sort of best way, air quotes, to do this, or the real way, is to essentially run a validator. Okay, so if you're gonna stake Ether and get the most money that you possibly can, then you have to run one of the actual nodes that runs the blockchain itself. So this looks like, setting up the validator software on your computer, okay, then actually taking Ether and locking it up into that computer, and then earning that, passive income reward that way. You can follow the guides on launchpad.ethereum.org to do that. Okay, this is pretty technical, and there's lots of stuff you have to understand before you go down this. I'm not even necessarily recommending this for most people. If you want to know how to do it, that's how to do it, okay? Now, the thing I'll say is you need 32 Ether in order to do this. That's the minimum amount that you need in order to run a single validator, and you have to stack in increments of 32 Ether. So if you have 32, you can't just like keep topping off your validator with a little extra Ether. Like, you have to continue to stack another validator if you want to keep getting those rewards on additional ETH. All right, so what if you don't have 32 Ether in order to stake? That's a lot of money, right? And what if you do have 32 Ether and you don't want to run a computer? You don't want to run a node, okay? What are your options? Well, there are decentralized staking pools out there, okay, where essentially you take any ETH amount that you want, really, and you just join together with other people to run a validator, okay? So you can do this with a decentralized way with smart contracts with DeFi apps like Lido, okay? And so again, this is not a sponsored video. I'm not necessarily endorsing any particular project. I'm telling you different ways to do this, and I'll highlight the risks in each way, okay? So, there's always smart contract risk. I mean, Lido's a pretty reputable project to date, all right? But I just always have to highlight that there are risks whenever you're using DeFi like this. I'm not saying, it's just super safe. You take your ETH and, put into something that there's no risk associated with any of this. Okay, there definitely is. But, that's one way to do it. We also have applications like Rocket Pool who have a very similar model where you can stake on-chain in a decentralized way. So you can also stake on a centralized exchange, okay? So, in any major cryptocurrency exchange where you hold funds on it, most of them are offering ETH 2.0 staking, and they're going to take a little cut of the APR, just like with, Rocket Pool or Lido, okay? So, the other thing I'll say about this is, all the ETH right now, if you're going to run a validator or you're going to stake in Rocket Pool, Lido, or, on a major cryptocurrency exchange, you're not going to be able to withdraw ETH initially until after the post-merge cleanup period. And so that's the thing you have to understand if you're going to go stake Ether right now, is that there's a time delay between when the merge happens and then this cleanup period before the ETH actually becomes liquid on the market, okay? All right, so that's an overview of everything that you must know about the Ethereum Merge, from a developer's perspective, explained in simple English. So I hope you like this video. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. That really helps these videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those, you went to the next step and actually, go for the throat, master real-world blockchain skills, land your first job in the Web 3.0 industry as a blockchain developer, I can show you how to do that over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started right now. I've helped people with zero coding experience become like real-world professional blockchain developers in a matter of months. So make sure you head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.